You've been very outspoken about Ukraine. You want to see peace in that war. But how does peace look like if you're Ukrainian? You've had Vladimir Putin illegally invade your country, a democratic country, seizing land which belongs to you. How is there any peace to be achieved if Ukraine, in my opinion, quite rightly, don't want to give an inch of any of this land to the Russians?
Well, one, I think we always begin with solidarity with the suffering, and that is the suffering of our precious brothers and sisters in the Ukraine. But we have to understand this in the larger backdrop, brother. You know, and I know that the United States promised Russia they would not move 1 inch toward Russia by means of NATO. Now 13 former countries associated with the Soviet Union are part of NATO. There's missiles targeting Russia right near the borders. You know, and I know again, if there were missiles in Mexico and Canada who were operated, sponsored by Russia or China, the United States would blow them into smithereens overnight. That's how empires function in that regard. So that, yes, that invasion is criminal. Yes, that invasion is wrong and immoral. But at the same time, NATO, as an instrument of U.S. global power and imperial policy, pushed them against the wall. They were close to a ceasefire agreement in March of 2022. And yet the United States did not give the green light. So we've got to really be honest.
But just to pin you down on my question, how do they now do a peace deal that doesn't involve Ukraine giving up land that they are determined not to give up?
Well, no, once you have the ceasefire, my brother, and you got to bring in the Chinese, you got to bring in the African leaders, you got to bring in the Ukrainians, you got to bring in the Turks, those who have played a role in trying to promote the ceasefire. You then move through diplomatic processes so that there's fairness in the diplomatic process. But you've got to stop the fighting, you've got to stop the war, and it becomes more and more a proxy war against America and Russia on the way to nuclear exchange, on the way to World War III. This is madness. We've got to be able to have constraints in this regard. But yes, you're right. The suffering of our precious Ukrainian brothers and sisters is very real. And that's one of the reasons why it's got to stop immediately. $120 billion of U.S. taxpayer money already gone there. And of course, Martin Luther King used to say that the bombs dropped in Vietnam land in ghettos and reservations and poor working class communities of any color. So the military expands and we get pulled back on social services, social programs for the poor, not just in the United States, but unfortunately, this is more and more true around the world, my brother.
Dr. West, I could talk to you for hours, and I'm sorry we've run out of time. I want to wish you all the best with your campaign, because the race needs somebody like you, with your intellect, with your passion, I think with your moral courage and your honesty. And your conviction for things. I've always enjoyed talking to you. I have again tonight. Please come back on again soon. I appreciate it.
No, you call and I'll definitely be back. But you stay strong, my brother.
Good to see you, Dr. West. All the best.
All right, though, man.